La 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 tita.
Offset is where I can take the edges of a shape and I can either extend them or I can bring it into itself. And it's really hard to explain verbally, so let me show you. I'm going to select the entire object and I'm going to select the offset key. Now you can also type F for offset if you so choose. I'm just going to click on the button. SketchUp is saying select a face or edge to offset. So if I click on the face, you'll notice that this little strange line goes around the perimeter of the shape, and I can type a specific distance. So let's say I want 4 inches, for quotation, enter, and you'll notice that what it does is it divides my object around the perimeter so that I have 2 different faces to work with. For instance, if I want to pull these up, I'm going to use my select key. I'm going to click on the face that I want to pull and I'm going to drag it up, and you'll see how we can drag this up. And I'm sure interior designers know what this probably means. This is a really great way to draw walls around a building. Basically like drawing your floor slab and then using the offset to kind of draw in your walls and then just pull them straight up. And just so you can see, it doesn't really do anything on the bottom, it only did it on the top because I offset the face more than I did anything else. I'm going to hit Control Z to go back just so that you can see. Let's do it to the outside this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the entire object. I'm going to click on the offset. You can see where I'm able to either go outside or inside the box. So if I go outside, I can type a specific dimension, like maybe I want 8 inches. And notice that the face is highlighted right now. 8 inches, enter. I'm just going to orbit my little box so that you can see that I created a face that's offset 8 inches from the original shape, and therefore it becomes its own face, of which I can select, and I can use the push-pull tool to bring it up so that you can kind of see how that works. I'm going to Control Z, and I'm just going to demonstrate offset one more time. Select the entire object, offset, choose a plane, so like this time I'm on the edge and I can go down this direction, and then you can see how I can push pull and get a pretty even border around that if I so choose. Offset's a lot of fun. You can do a lot of stuff with it, so I hope you get to playing with it and get a feel for what it can do for your own projects. Alright, Control Z back to our original shape, and I'm going to show you the next tool, which is the Follow Me tool. And I'm actually going to offset on the top here, and I'm going to push pull the center up a little bit. The Follow Me tool is really cool. It allows me to draw a profile, and then I can add like crown molding around the edge of this, or a top, like a column or something like that. It is a little tricky to work with, so you might want to watch first before you play. I'll demonstrate this one twice. I'm going to start with my pencil tool, and I'm going to go to the corner of this shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little plane. So I'm going to make sure that I've got it on the green axis, and I've got it on the blue axis, and I'm just kind of drawing. Now I could put numbers to this if I wanted to, but I'm just kind of freehanding this, making sure I stick with the green and the blue planes. Something like that. So I'm going to orbit around so you can see I drew a plane, a two-dimensional object using the pencil tool, but it's associated with the edges of this shape. The Follow Me tool is located underneath the Push-Pull tool. There is no shortcut for you to use on the keyboard. So I'm just going to click on the button, and it's going to act like the Push-Pull tool. If I click and drag, you can see how I can follow the edge line of this shape, and I can go back I can also use my third wheel while I'm clicking and holding to kind of maneuver around so that I can follow the shape a little bit. And I could even start going downwards if I want to, until I let go and it basically draws this really cool profile. So you can see, like in kitchens, you can do crown molding, you can do stuff around columns. It's a really neat tool, and it's all about following the line on the shape that you want it to go with. So I could have kept going along this edge, but I just decided to change directions of sorts. So let me do this again. I'm going to use this side pencil tool. I have to kind of follow the axes that I need to follow. So I'm sticking with green and blue. So here I'm going to do a much more intricate, weird design. I'm going to go all the way back, create my plane, follow me tool. Now if I click on it, it's going to kind of do its own thing. And it doesn't really give me the kind of control that I was hoping to have, so I'm going to escape and I'm going to click and drag it. And I have to kind of keep my finger held on the mouse, but I can use my third wheel to zoom out or to orbit as I feel like I need to. And then I can kind of connect it here, and it's probably going to be really funky on that edge. Oh yes, notice it's hollow, so you'll probably need to close it off somehow. But this is how you can create interesting profiles around shapes. And you'll notice on the top that you can see the difference between each shape and where it's at. But that, in a nutshell, is the Follow Me tool. Two more tools I'm going to show you today, and that is the tape measure tool and the protractor tool. They both kind of do the same thing, but in different ways. So I'm going to actually draw a new shape next to this one. Use the rectangle tool. I'm going to draw kind of a long, skinny shape. I'm going to use the push-pull tool to bring that up really tall so that you can kind of see how this is going to work. And I'm going to start with the measuring tool. The measuring tool is located underneath the scale in the toolbar. There is no shortcut on the keyboard for this command. And what it's going to do, it's going to provide me with guidelines that I can use to start drawing shapes within shapes. So I'm going to click on the measuring tape tool, and I'm going to highlight over the edge of this shape, and I'm going to click, and you'll notice that a dotted line that goes all the way up and all the way down is associated with it. It's parallel to the edge that I just clicked on. I'm going to say I want this to come out 1 foot 6 inches from the edge, and it places the guideline for me. So the guideline is infinity. It goes all the way to the top. You can't even see where it goes. And all the way to the bottom, same way. It's infinity. It really goes on and on forever. I could follow it. I could never find the end of this particular shape. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So click and drag. Notice it's parallel with the edge that I selected. 1 foot 6 inches. And I'm going to go from the top. Again, see how it's parallel to the edge I just selected? That is the key to the measuring tape tool. I'm going to go down 2 feet, enter. And now what I've done is I've created a drawing surface to make it easy for me to come in here with my pencil tool, and I can follow this guideline all the way across. I can use the push-pull tool, and I can move it back, I can move it forward if I want to. Now if I move it back all the way until it turns like this kind of a cool looking blue, you can kind of see it right there. If I keep it there and let go, it actually cuts a hole out. So I'm going to demonstrate that one more time. I'm going to put an arch at the top. So I'm going to grab the arc tool, 2-point arc. So I'm going to click, and then it'll allow me to determine the peak of the arc. So let's do something kind of like this. Use my push-pull tool. I can drag it out if I wanted to. I could pull it back until it goes onto itself at the point 0, and when I let go, it cuts the hole. That is the measuring tape tool. It really is for parallel straight up and down lines. Now you can do an angle guideline, and I'll show you that with the Protractor tool. First, if you want to get rid of all the guidelines, there's 3 ways to do it. You can use the selector to highlight an individual guideline and hit delete on your keyboard. You can use the eraser and just click on the guide and it will erase it. Or you can come up to edit in the menu bar and choose delete guides, and it will get rid of all guides that you see in your picture. Alright, so let's draw another shape. Let's do one right next to it, push pull. Just for demonstration purposes, it's a nice flat surface that we can work with. I'm going to pan hand to try and get it to come over. There we go. Alright, the Protractor tool is located right underneath the measuring tape tool. And it's a lot like the rotate. You have to first select what axis that you want to work with and where do you want to start your guideline. So I'm actually going to start in the corner, and I have to give it a reference line to work with. So see how I'm kind of going parallel here? Reference line, and then I get to tell it what angle I want it to go at. Now if I want a 45-degree angle, I could type 45 or find 45. I'm going to do 60, just like that, and it places the guideline at an angle. I'm going to do the other side over here, and I have to do the reference angle first and then the final angle, 60 again, and you'll see that I created a triangle shape. Now I can take my pencil tool and I can click, and I can easily follow these guidelines to draw the triangle. Once I do that, I can select the face of that triangle and use the push-pull to send it backwards, and see how it's blue. If I let go, once it's blue, it cuts a hole right through that shape, and therefore I have this really unique shape. It works for circles, it works for pretty much anything. So the Protractor and the measuring tool do the same thing. It's just the measuring tool will take an edge and make it parallel, and the Protractor will allow you to do some unique angles, different from the angles that the shape has. You learned a lot in this video. This might be an important video to watch a couple times, but if you're feeling good, go ahead and move on to the next video. Thanks, guys.